Have you any examples of the success of DevOps that you're able to share with the people who are watching the video?
Sure, yeah, I have a couple examples. Tellus Digital, which is the group within Tellus that provides the online e-commerce website for any consumer-based good that you would purchase from Tellus, be it an iPhone or a phone or any consumer-based service. If you purchase it through their website, this whole environment is a DevOps approach to innovation. Tellus Digital on record publicly has stated that they do 500 to 600 deploys per day to production for their online e-commerce site using a DevOps approach, which is phenomenal. And a lot of that's not only making changes and introducing new code updates or patching systems, but it's changing the offer that they're making to the market in the retail sense, changing the number of offers or how the offer looks, or if you're buying an iPhone, do you want a set of earphones, those types of things, and building that out on a very rapid basis. So 500 deploys a day, which is unbelievable, is quite remarkable. And a lot of the organizations we deal with, they're seeing 200 time improvements in terms of how fast they promote things to production. Some organizations are doing 2,500 less time for lead times to get things to production, and their quality's gone up by a factor of 3, and fixing problems has gone up by a factor of 3. So Tellus is an example where they're doing all these deploys today for not only enhancing what they have today, but actually changing the offers and experimenting with the market and taking that data and using it to change their website. Even in non-production environments like pre-production and user acceptance testing, they're doing 1,500 to 2,000 deploys per day, some sort of change, which is quite remarkable. And if you look at one of their mandates, now they have this centralized platform and they've taken a DevOps approach to capabilities within the organization. They can actually have a developer on their first day of work actually promote a change to production because of the highly automated system they've put in place through the centralized platform. So that's one example of a Canadian customer that's doing that on the commercial side of things. Very remarkable. Now, from a government perspective, the BC Developers Exchange, which is a subset of the BC government on the west coast of Canada, they've taken an approach where they've said, look, we'll instantiate this group called the BC Dev Exchange. We'll help the various ministries change how they innovate, the approach to innovation using an agile and DevOps approach. So actual ministry individuals will come in, and if they're building a new digital service for the constituents of the province of BC, they will be taught the culture, the process, and the tooling of how to build a new digital service through this program. And so what they've been able to do is actually not only do that in the spirit of what I would call Government 2.0 or government as a platform. The province of BC, where it's applicable, has actually posted the source code of the digital service into a publicly available GitHub Repository. And that's typically where you store a source code nowadays, and allow the public, which could include for-profit, non-profit, or individual constituents, to look at the source code and actually collaborate with the province of BC to build new digital services. And this is the first time, I think, since we created democracy, where we've actually allowed the constituents to collaborate with the government to build new services that the constituency actually consumes. And this idea of the province of BC instantiating a platform that they have control and they have rules and policy that they apply to that platform, but to allow external parties to build new digital services, as an example, on top of that, has really evolved in what I would call a marketplace. And so, special interest groups within the province of BC, as an example, may look at some of the reports that are produced by the Ministry of Natural Resources Ministry and question whether the fisheries or the forestry reports are actually accurate. These special interest groups can actually download the source code, rerun those reports to validate that the government's actually saying is true. And so this is really changing effectively government in many ways as well. So for the first time, we don't longer have a vending machine kind of government style where the government listens to the constituents, builds out new services for the constituents, and that's all done by bureaucrats within the government. We're actually extending that out to the actual constituents themselves, and so we participate more than just voting or through public hearings and public documentation, we're actually working with the government, which at the end of the day, if you strip down government, it's collective civic action. At the end of the day, we're solving problems as a group as opposed to on an individual basis, and that's the essence of what government is. And I think we'll start to see that transition through the other provinces and through the federal government. And one of the products of this type of work has led other ministries to realize, look, I have access to source code from this other ministry, and the framework of that application logic or that business logic is the same. So an example would be a wizard. You know, when you go to a website, you go through a wizard process to either get a new driver's license or a new health card, or maybe sign up for a campsite at a campground. The structure and the format of that wizard can be used across all the ministries in a Westminster model of government that we have within the larger government jurisdictions in Canada. And so we're seeing a lot more of cross-jurisdictional reuse of application code as a result of what the BC Dev Exchange is doing. But what's even more remarkable, I think, the BC Dev Exchange has been able to instantiate very high-paced approach to building out infrastructure to support new projects and new digital services. In the old days, to build a new application for a government service, it would take them literally 3 to 4 years. And by the time they got that thing built, that application built, or that service built, it really didn't meet the needs of what the constituents wanted, nor was it was practically obsolete by that point in time. So now they're literally able to provision infrastructure to support a new service literally within 6 minutes. All those supporting environments I talked about in the technology value stream, being it from development to build to test, all the test environments through to production, they build in 6 minutes, and they actually spend more time discussing the name of the project rather than building the supporting environments, which eventually will be hosting and running a service that the constituents of BC will consume. So remarkable how we can change typically an entity that's not known for being very speedy into being a very accelerated, innovative organization.
Wonderful.